going to be doing a remake of my Vermithrax Dragon Blood soap, and I decided at the very last minute that instead of black and orange and like burgundy and stuff, that I wanted to do greens. So this is going to be a green dragon. I have my soap batter all emulsified here. I did aloe juice and I super fatted with cocoa butter because my Dragon's Blood fragrance really is sweet and delicious, and I think that it just needs a little bit of chocolatey goodness in the scent. So I went ahead and mixed that up. I'm soaking a tiny bit warm today because I think I'm going to stick this on my stoop when I'm done, and maybe see if it'll gel. I think I have a hard time gelling my soap even in the oven a lot of the time, because when I'm soaking at room temperature, in this basement in particular, the room temperature is like 65. So I'm not soaping even warm. It's quite cool, and I can get away with that because olive oil is liquid at room temperature. You've got to really make it like 30, 40 degrees for it to cool down, like practically frozen. Or thicken up, I mean. So I thought, you know, we'll see if I can get this to heat up and gel a little bit on my stoop. If not, not a big deal, but I'm just sort of kind of playing around with gelling and seeing what I can get. I also got new micas, so I wanted to try those out. I talked before about the Granny Smith apple that I had a sample of from Wholesale Supplies Plus. Finally got a jar of that, so I got that going. Got my Kelly Green mica from Brambleberry that I love, which is like a basic green. The Granny Smith apple is more of a neon green. And then I got a new one from Wholesale Supplies Plus. That one's in here. It's Evergreen Green mica, and it's really deep, dark green with some really nice shimmer to it. It's just beautiful, and it's supposed to stay in cold process without fading or morphing or anything, so really excited about that one. That one I did not have a sample of. I just thought, let's give it a shot. So I'm stirring this up. Last time I did Vermithrax, I did it in a rimmed soap, and I used my Scaly Impression Mat, and I had to try making the rim like 2 or 3 times because it cracked on me. And so when I put it in the rim for that, it was really quite soft still, and it squished most of the impression out. And that bummed me out. I'm really not sure what else I could have done with that to make the rim actually show up without it have been too firm and have cracked and everything. So I'm going to use my Scaly Impression Mat again. However, I am going to just do it in a slab mold. I've got a cardboard box that I saved from Punk Rock Mermaid that fits that impression mat as close as I can get. So I saved that. That's why I'm not putting this in the oven, because that box has tape on it. I'm not trying to catch the box on fire. I don't know if it would or not, but I don't want to find out. So we will not find out. No, it's not going to catch on fire on my stoop. So I'm just getting me started. This is my Evergreen. Look at that. Beautiful. I'm going to do squirt bottles too, because I know this is going to stay fairly fluid. I was going to do piping bags to try to fill in the scales, each an individual color, but piping bags are messy when it's this fluid, and I can at least turn it upright in a squirt bottle. And then I figure it's going to stay fluid. I might as well try some super fun Eber swirls that I've just been obsessed with lately. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it yet. I think I'm just going to kind of see what I feel like doing as I'm doing it, so that'll be interesting, I think. So there's my 3 micas, and then with that I have some black, some activated charcoal for black. This fragrance does discolor a little. It does contain, it was about 2.6% vanilla. So I did do, it's 2 ounces of fragrance, and I did 1.6 ounces of stabilizer. And if this gets kind of, you know, tan and brown with the green, I think that's still going to be fine. I'm not gonna fret that. All right, we're in a nice thin trace. We're gonna get thicker as we keep going, and that's okay. Just want to make sure I get everything stirred all the way. I don't want any chunks. No chunks. Alrighty. I mentioned this in my first video that I did Vermithrax soap, that this is another fragrance from Indigo, and this Dragon's Blood is unlike any other Dragon's Blood that I've ever smelled before. And they describe it, you know, they say, ooh, it's dark and mysterious. But then they say it's basically cedar, patchouli, and blood orange, which are usually notes in a Dragon's Blood scent. But I find this one to be sweeter and warmer and just, oh, it's good. I don't ever dislike Dragon's Blood, but I'm never wild or crazy about it. But I really, really do love their dragon's blood. And I'm going to continue to soap with this fragrance when I make this soap again. This soap sold out quickly for me. Alright, one green down. Yeah, you can tell we're nice and warm still, which means I might actually be able to get a gel. The reason I particularly want to gel this, and I had this in mind when I still had warm colors in my head planned for this soap, the one rim that I made that cracked when I was trying to do a rimmed round soap for the soap challenge back whatever month that was, I did copper and then I did like a, I don't know what, I think it's called copper, but it's like a much more burgundy type copper instead of an orangey type copper. And then I did actual orange, I think. And I gelled it, just the rim. I let it sit too long because it did crack on me, but it was so stinking beautiful and sparkly and just so vibrant. And the fact that I had to throw that out, or essentially I melted it down to make my soap sludge, it broke my heart. And I thought it'd be really cool to try to gel this soap on that mat. So that's what we're gonna try today. We're getting a wee bit thick. We're not even quite to medium trace yet, but we are thickening up a little, and that's because we're soaping warm. It's around 100, 95, 100 we're both at here for my aloe liquid lye and my olive oil with my little bit of cocoa butter in there. We're not too thick though. I've used this before, I know it's not gonna get super duper thick on me or anything. Excuse me. Okay. Alright. Here's my box and my mat. And I'm thinking, yeah, I just kind of maybe want to fill in each little scaly whatever that shape is, with a different color. I thought first of like doing the outlines, but the outline is like really, it's gonna just flow. So I'm just gonna get each little drops shape with a different color soap. Ooh, we exploded a little bit. Okay. So that color is gonna go into that one. Knew it wasn't gonna be perfect. Now it's extra not perfect. I'm just squeezing it in here. I'm just gonna kind of hit it randomly. I don't have a super direct plan. Just gonna kind of go for it. It's thick enough where it's not running everywhere, which is nice. That little bloop that I did here is kind of messy and whatever. Whatever. You don't fret it. I think being a perfectionist is the enemy of a soap maker. I mean, it's good to want things to turn out well, but if you're the type of person that it has to go according to plan, you're going to be disappointed a lot making soap. So I just roll with it. I always call myself a good enoughist. Yeah, good enough. This is working pretty good so far. This is that evergreen green mica. Oh my god, it's pretty. I know that camera's not picking up the richness of the sparkliness and everything to this, which is really sad because it's gorgeous. When I saw that for sale, I was like, no way. A dark green mica. Bring it on, baby. I'm starting with only half, like filling half as I go, because I don't want to bonk the stuff over here. I'm just going to fill it and then kind of move from there, but I want to make sure they're spaced out nicely. Oop. With the scaling kind of deal I did so far. Let me tap here. My impression mat's bouncing with that, so we'll finish tapping at the end. Whew, now I'm just going to start squirting. Yep, squirt time. Probably fast forward through this part, so I'm not going to jabber. Okay, as you can see, we did end up getting kind of thick here. And I got basically as much out of my bottles as I possibly could. Thicker than I anticipated, but you know what, that's what happens when you soak a little bit warmer. I have the advantage when I soak at room temperature to have a lot more liquidy batter for a longer period of time. I get my little goops off the side here before I do any swirling. I'm not going to count on any super fancy swirls with it being this either. But let me tap it out too. It's definitely like sticking upwards. It needs to flatten a bit. I can't find my chopstick, so boo. I'm going to use the end of this brush though. I'm going to do back and forth and maybe some kind of wiggly thing, but we'll see what it looks like after this. I'm not going down too far either because I don't want to screw up the scales. Still swirling pretty though. It's reminding me of Forest Fern that I did because I did a bunch of shades of green for that. So it's all very similar, and I did squirt bottles and swirls like this too. That's pretty. As I was squirting too, I realized I'm probably going to have to rename this soap because Vermithrax was a red dragon, and this ain't red, so I'll ask Chris for his expert dragon advice. He will know what I can do with this or not. I think I'm going to just go back and forth like that again. I was going to do the rake, but I think the rake is really best for when it's super fluid, but this will still be nice. Yeah, that's pretty. It smells so good. Drink. That's pretty nice. One more schmack for good measure. Yeah, definitely got kind of thick, but I'm very hopeful that we're gonna get some gelling. I'm gonna put this on my front stoop, and I'm gonna put a metal tray over the top to cover it, but also the sun on that metal tray is gonna attract a lot of heat, and it's super hot out there right now. It's definitely in the high 80s, so I'm hopeful we get some gelling here. Ta-da! So there is, as of this moment, Vermithrax, until I talk to Chris and he gives me the name of a green dragon, which I know he'll have. Whether or not other people know what we're talking about is yet to be decided, but I'm sure I'll end up renaming this after some sort of D&D related, or some sort of something green dragon. But it's dragon's blood and it smells amazing. It smells really good. And it is a Castile soap, so alright, I'm going to cut this probably tomorrow, depending on what I got going on tomorrow, but yeah, expect, well, you guys can watch it right now, so yeah, we get to cut it right now. See you then! Hello, welcome back. It's been a day, almost exactly, since I made my Dragon's Blood remake. I was asking Chris when he got back of green dragon names, and he was like, Pete's Dragon, and that was all he could think of. But when I posted it on Instagram, his buddy Eric, who he tattoos with and also who he games with, was like, Venomfang, and that's a green dragon from a 5th edition campaign, and I was like, okay, I like that. And somebody else on Instagram had a different name too, and shit, I can't think of it for the life of me. But I think I'm gonna go with Venomfang, just like, I like it, and I like it a lot. And when I told Chris, I was like, Eric said Venomfang, he like, Chris has this face where all the emotion just drains out of his face, like he feels stumped, and that was exactly the face he made, which was hilarious to me, so yeah, anyways, I'm really loving the colors, I'm having a hard time focusing, there we go. All my colors turned out great. When I went to go put this on the stoop to try to gel it, do the stoop process, there were lots of clouds in the sky, it was not sunny, and it looked like it was going to rain. So I brought it back in, and what I did was I turned my oven on to 200, put it in, and then just shut the oven off. Normally I would do like 170 and leave it for a while. I wanted to get just a little bit warmer than that because I knew I was going to shut it off. I didn't want my box to get into trouble. And then of course it was sunny immediately after I did that. I'm pretty sure it did gel because I tongue zapped it like a couple hours later. Totally saponified already. But I don't notice that big of a difference in color when I oven process it, so I'm just going to quit doing that. I don't see that it's worth the trouble, personally. No problem, you know, if you want to gel your soap, go for it. Doesn't bug me any, but I'm going to not gel my soap. Keep on not gelling. I figure it's worth a shot. I might as well see what the fuss is about, but I kind of still don't know what the fuss is about. Okay, I want to peel this impression mat off here. I'm going to get a little bit of leaking underneath it. I gotta figure out the best way to... Here we go. Got it. Oh no! Look at how much is still inside. Oh. So it goes, I guess. Other than that, sticking in there in parts really freaking pisses me off and bums me out. Other than that, like, that part was kind of weird, but this is good. So, what are you gonna do, right? What are you gonna do? Okay, now I gotta figure out how I wanted to cut this. I'm gonna do 6 squares again, and we're gonna have some extra on the outsides. Now, if I have to adjust my cutter, I'm going to adjust my cutter, but I apologize if I'm like moving things around and shaking you guys up. And I want you to actually have a good view. Somebody was telling me, instead of using the wire to cut it into like mini slabs, slap it on here. Just put it at the correct angle, it still will cut through. This is tall enough where it should clear it. So I'm going to try that. I can't remember who told me that either. Oh, I'm not on the ball today. So apologies, whoever you were who said to do that on one of my other videos, thank you. I meant to ahead of time look up who you were to give you credit, but of course I was unprepared. Okay. Actually, I think the reason I didn't do that is because this is in the way. Because I want to do 3-inch cubes. Yep. That's why I didn't do that, because I want 3-inch cubes. And this goes to 2.5 inches even when I take the thing on. Alright, so let me go get my wire and we'll go from there. Okay guys, I adjusted my camera and I got my hoopty cutter again. Because I want to do 3-inch squares, I have this overlapping just from the center of my thing to the edge is 2.5 inches, which is the same as my bud cutter as well. And with the bud cutter is it hits a screw on the end, I cannot take that screw off, and this has no end. So I can go as long out as I want to. So I went just a little bit longer than, I went out about an extra 1/4 inch because I'm going to cut off 1/4 inch where it didn't hit the mat. And now it's just a matter of getting it straight and hoping it doesn't fall over and dent itself when I cut it. Actually, that wasn't so bad. Pull this guy off. I love how the inside looks when I do the squirt bottle for. Now when I put my dividers in, if I use my actual slab mold, it looks much different, but when I don't, it just looks like that, which I do like. There's that part. There's that part. I am going to plane these because I think having it perfectly smooth on top would look cool. I did go inside enough to swirl where planing it won't take off the entire pattern. Oop. Now this one I can go off my edge exactly a ½ inch, and that'll be 3 inches because I don't need to trim anything off of that side. Okay, perfect. Line it up. Ooh. Yeah, still pretty soft, but I enjoy it. This reminds me of like a camo pattern. I think that's pretty cool. There's that top. I definitely had some stickage from my impression mat, but it could be worse. It's got another end to it, so I mean it's pretty on both sides. Pretty on both sides. Alright, and there's that end. The cuts are not ever perfectly straight, but I will plane them to be squares later on. Let's see. The scent remains strong, this fragrance here. When I did this last time, it was equally strong after cure, and I'm smelling it now. It's filling up the room. It smells really, really nice, and it's going to stay that way, which is really pretty cool. Okay. I was hoping to be able to plane these and clean them up today to get some pics, but it's going to be another couple of days. I did not as steep of a water discount as I like to do sometimes, so they stay softer for another extra couple days that way. This is what I'll trim off the end, which gives me lots of nice samples. And there's that beautiful end there. That's where most of my bits came off. You can still get, I mean, you can still tell, but not what I was going for. That's my nice dark green. My dark green, my medium green, and my light green. This was looking kind of funny in the battery yesterday, but it lightened up. Alright. Finish this out here. Not perfect squares yet. I'll fix it. Need to wait a little while. One of my best customers, he's actually a local guy here in Erie. I met him and his wife at a craft show years ago. She came to the craft show that I was first at when we first met. Then she also participated in another one that I did. She makes these really awesome crocheted snowflakes, and she does something with some like glue or something like that where they stay firm and they stay like ornaments, and they're so pretty. I bought some from her then, but they buy soap from me, and he just bought 10 bars, but he like wiped me out of a lot of different kinds. So I've got some soaps to remake today, maybe today. That I wasn't planning on. I didn't think I was gonna have to make those yet, but he bought a bunch of them. So, thanks, Tom. I'm liking this end too. This is still fun. All right, and the last one. Yeah, they're still quite soft, and they need some cleanup. This will be a sample. Now that'll be a little end piece sample. You can see how far I swirled in. I swirled about halfway through. You can tell a little bit there. Pretty fun. Alright. I'm not going to tape the, cut those little end chunks off or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and do that and get them cleaned up before I take some photos. So by the time you see this, that'll all be done, but on mine it's going to be a couple of days. There they are. Da, da, da. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and give me a thumbs up and let me know what you think. Bye!